What is up, guys? Rick Kackis here. Thank you so much for stopping by, and today we've got some brand spanking new Destiny 2 news, courtesy of the Bungie weekly update that has just been released unveiling official info. And this is a big one. We are going over some massive subclass changes that is absolutely going to impact the way you play. And so, let's jump into it. First off, Bungie did touch on a little bit about the kind of finale activity to Season of the Undying, which was the launch of the Undying Mind. So Bungie says the attack is ongoing and all Seasons Pass holders can join in on Vex Offensive and transmat the finished portal from the tower to summon and defeat Undying Minds from different timelines. They do say, however, the impact of your victory has not been made clear just yet, but in time you will learn more about how this will further evolve in the world as we transition into the next season. So, of course, with Undying Mind, it was a very disappointing thing. They just changed the boss, they didn't even really change the mechanics, but this is just a little bit hint that maybe there's just something a little bit more coming as we get closer to Season of Dawn, the next season arriving sometime in December. So hopefully Vex Offensive will be spiced up more than Final Assault did. Moving on from there, let's talk about the big news, and that is the changes to specifically Solar Subclasses coming next season. Of course, this current season of the Undying, if you looked at the seasonal artifacts, they only impacted Void Subclasses as well as Arc Subclasses, and we had Arc Week and we had some Void buffs as well, so now it's the Solar Subclasses' turn. So, first off, let's start with the Gunslinger, Way of the Sharpshooter, which is the bottom path. Bungie says traditionally, Way of the Sharpshooter has been used in specific PvE activities and almost exclusively paired with the Celestial Nighthawk Helm. We wanted to move Way of the Sharpshooter to be something players want to choose more often and for a wider range of activities. In order to differentiate the 3-shot and the 6-shot Golden Gun and better play into their fantasies, we've made the following changes. So firstly, for 3-shot, we increase the auto-aim distance and reliability when aiming down sights, as it fulfills the role of long-range accuracy. For the 6-shot, we shorten the damage fall-off range to emphasize the short-range gunfighter role with a lot of kill potential. Additionally, they say we've made other changes to Way of the Outlaw to help keep its potency, like adding a new explosive proximity knife that can stick to surfaces and detonate when enemies pass nearby. Whoa, so you're basically getting a whole new melee ability with that, and that's going to enable some sick plays, sticking a wall, waiting for someone to come around a corner, and then having it explode. Like, that's sick. But that's actually not all. There's another brand new melee ability coming called Weighted Knife. High damage knife throw with a long windup. Travels at high speeds, bounces once, and does extra damage to the head. Precision shot final blows recharge the melee completely. One hit precision final blow in PvP. What? That sounds... I cannot wait. I cannot wait for people to be posting clips of them going off with this thing. Now, of course, the balancing factor is like right now, envision using a throwing knife. It's very quick. This sounds like you're going to have to take it out and, put your hand above your head and wait for a sec and then throw it. So that is going to be a little bit of a delay, and that delay will hopefully let you get hit and killed if you're not careful in using this new melee ability, but that sounds super sweet. Some more changes. To practice makes perfect, it lasts longer but gives a bit less energy per second. Precision hits grant 2 stacks. For a new perk, Knock 'em Down. Precision final blows increase weapon stability and aim down sight speed. Timer starts at 10 seconds, but any additional final blows and assists can increase it up to 25 seconds. Casting your super with this buff above 20 seconds consumes the buff and grants extra damage, but it does not stack with Celestial Nighthawk. Next, the Line 'em Up perk. Old perks from Crowd Pleaser are now part of this perk. Golden Gun can cause precision damage, and precision shots generate orbs of light. So those are some pretty crazy changes. I mean, we have brand new melee abilities and perks, but that's not all. Next up, we're covering the Sunbreaker, Code of the Devastator, which is the middle path. So Bungie says their data was indicating that this subclass was underperforming in PvP, so they've decided to make a few changes that should enable it to be more competitive. So, the Roaring Flame perk has received a significant buff to its bonus damage, and the buff now lasts 25% longer, making it easier to build and retain stacks between encounters. The base damage of Throwing Hammer melee ability has increased. It's now very lethal in PvP while you have Roaring Flames active. In addition, once you've thrown the hammer and it's lying on the ground, you don't have to get quite as close to pick it back up. Finally, we've tuned the super in a number of ways. So they say for starters, Burning Maul now lasts longer, giving you more time to use it strategically instead of simply spamming the slam button. We also increased the height of the Heavy Slam explosion, so this super should feel much more potent against airborne enemies. That's the gist of it, but here are more details. So for Throwing Hammer, increase the impact damage from 100 to 120 and increase the hammer pickup radius from 2 to 3.5 meters. Adjusted hammer throw animations to fit a more damaging attack. For Roaring Flames, increased the damage from 10% per stack to 25% per stack in PvP and increased the duration from 15 to 20 seconds. Huge change there. Burning Maul, increased the duration from 21.2 seconds to 28.5 seconds. The light attack, they reduced the light attack energy cost from 5% down to 3%, adjusted the animation so that it flows seamlessly into chained light attacks without stopping. For the heavy attack, Ground Slam attack now detonates when it detects enemies above it. Detonation radius has increased to make landing attacks more consistent, increased energy cost from 6% to 8%. So once again, massive changes. Absolutely, this is going to be much more of a force to be reckoned with in PvP, especially with that huge damage increase to Roaring Flames and an increase in duration, but PvE as well. Reducing the cost of light attacks so drastically and changing the animation, I mean, light attack spamming was the best way to DPS enemies, and now that's going to be a much more efficient. It doesn't get the Roaring Flames increase that's worded as just a PvP increase, but it does get the duration benefits as well in PvE. So I would just expect this thing to be used more often in general. And remember, we're also going to be getting a brand new seasonal artifact next season, which will likely come with certain mods that will further increase the power of Solar Subclasses. But moving on from there, there's one more subclass we need to talk about, and that is Dawnblade Attunement of Sky, which is the top path. So Bungie says, we wanted to push its air superiority gameplay further. When we initially released this path, its movement capabilities were tuned around the original Destiny 2 gameplay experience, which was much slower and more deliberate about positioning. However, over time, this movement needed to adapt into the new Sandbox. We wanted to give you the gameplay experience that fantasy begs for, a flying angel that can maneuver with grace and destroy its foes below. However, Bungie does say to accomplish our goals of reworking the air superiority role, we needed to differentiate the two Daybreak paths from one another. As a result, we reduced the speed at which Burst Glide accelerates players in Daybreak. We know this is a controversial change, but we wanted to reserve the air superiority gameplay with Attunement of Sky, and Burst Glide speed was blurring the lines between both Daybreak paths. So keep that in mind. But here are all the changes. So Icarus dashes while in Daybreak increase speed and thrust to recapture the Burst Glide gameplay for those running the air superiority path. In addition, there's another brand new melee ability called Celestial Fire. Send a spiral of 3 explosive solar projectiles. What? But that's not all. So the Heat Rises perk, it's a rework. Consume your grenade to extend glide time and dramatically reduce the in-air accuracy penalties for weapons. Winged Sun has been reworked as well. Fire weapons use celestial fire and throw grenade while gliding. Airborne final blows grant melee energy and extend the duration of Heat Rises. Also, they reworked Icarus Dash, so tap crouch twice to dodge in mid-air. Dodging in Daybreak accelerates players farther and costs less super energy while under the effects of Heat Rises. An added note, due to the nature of these reworks, Wings of Sacred Dawn received a buff where it gains 15% damage resistance while Tome of Dawn is active. Maybe it's time to break that out of collections now. And there we have it. I think the main change for this subclass is the fact that it's getting that new ranged melee ability that you can use in midair. That's going to open up some really interesting potential gameplay opportunities. And overall, these three changes, these subclasses are going to play very differently. We're talking whole new abilities, whole new perks. I can't wait to try them out. But let's move on from those changes and talk about the last thing we're going to cover in this update, and that is the last Iron Banner of this season. So, it's going to launch at 9 a.m. Pacific on November 26th, and it's going to end the following Tuesday, 9 a.m. Pacific on December 3rd. This is going to be your last chance to get the Iron Banner new armor sets, to get a bunch of enhanced mods from Saladin, and get those +2 pinnacles. Alright guys, and that is it for the Destiny 2 news. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it informative, and if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at @RickKackis. That's linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.